Keith Douglas was an extraordinary gifted writer and poet. He is arguably the literary link between lyricism of the First World War poets and the unflinching knowing realism of the modern era, and yet today he remains relatively unknown. This poem expresses the grief of Douglas since his girlfriend has abandoned him. However, he still thinks about her because he wrote this poem since he was deeply in love with Milena Gutierrez. Can I explain this to you? Your eyes are entrances and mouths, the mouths of caves I issue from wonderful interiors upon a blessed sea and a fine day. From inside these caves I look and dream. He is clearly thinking about her when he wrote this poem, and that is expressed within this stanza, because Douglas calls her eyes entrances the mouth of caves, which means that he is lost in her eyes. He looks at the mouths of caves from a blessed sea when the weather conditions are beautiful, since he says, a fine day. When Keith is in the cave, he is thinking about her, but he is not able to connect with her since he is a soldier fulfilling his duty. Literary devices. The author uses imagery in order to create ideas into the reader's mind. He does this by describing the eyes of his girlfriend as entrances to the mouths of caves. Furthermore, he sees from within that cave a beautiful sea that looks like a dream. This might mean that he felt comfortable with his girlfriend. Your hair, explicable as a waterfall, in some black liquid cooled by legend, fell across my thought in a moment, became a garment. I am naked without lines across through the morning and evening. Douglas continues to describe the beauty of his girlfriend by describing her attributes. Milena Gutierrez has black hair, which is typical for Spanish people. Keith described the hair as Milena as black liquid cooled by legend. Douglas describes his feelings as naked without lines drawn across through morning and evening. This could mean that he is working very hard and that he has a lack of emotional expressions. This stanza shows the emotional contrast between Douglas being with his girlfriend and Douglas being without his girlfriend. With his girlfriend, he feels protected, which he describes as her hair becoming a garment. However, Douglas feels naked without that garment. Literary devices. The author uses imagery to describe the hair of Milena by saying that her hair is explicable as a waterfall with some black liquid cooled by legend. He continues by stating that he feels incomplete without her presence. And in your body, each minute I died, moving your thigh could disinter me from a grave in a distant city. Your breast deserted by cloth in twilight, filled me with tears, sweet cups of flesh. Douglas is imagining that he is making love with Milena. He says that he died for each minute that he is in her body. He uses the French phrase petit mort, a little death, which refers to an orgasm. However, Milena brings him back alive, which is indicated with the sentence, moving your thigh could disinter me. He continues on describing these attributes of her girlfriend in an allegorical way. Literary devices. He continues to use imagery by describing the body of her girlfriend in his imagination. The author does this by using the words moving your thigh could disinter me. The words died and disinter indicate the juxtaposition by describing death and life. Yes, To touch two fingers made us worlds, stars, waters, promontories, chaos, swooning in elements without form or time, come down through long seas among sea marvels, embracing like survivors in our island. It seems that Douglas describes that the moment that he touched his girlfriend changed his entire life. This stanza shows that they had a deep affection for each other. Literary devices. Douglas uses alliteration by saying to touch two, since the letters belong to the same sound group. He also uses a hyperbole by describing his feelings at the moment when he touches her. He does this by saying, swooning in elements without form or time, come down through long seas among a sea marvels, embracing like survivors in our island. This I think happened to us together, though now no shadow of it flickers in your hands. Your eyes look down on ordinary streets. If I talk to you, I might be a bird with a message, a dead man, a photograph. In the previous stanza, Douglas envisions himself together with his girlfriend on an island. He thought that Milena experienced the same feelings for Douglas as Douglas has its feelings for Milena. However, Milena abandoned him, and he describes this by saying, though now no shadow of it flickers in your hands. However, she looks down on an ordinary street without the presence of Douglas. Keith envisions himself dead when this poem reaches his girlfriend. He symbolizes this message as a bird that brings her the sad message. Douglas prospects that he is not going to return from the war, which means that he will not be able to meet Milena again. It seems that Douglas was in a rather emotional state when he wrote this poem. The only reminder that Milena will have of Douglas will be a photograph of him. That is why this last stanza is the most impressive one. Literary devices. This stanza has an alliteration because he starts the stanza with the words this and think. This stanza ends in a juxtaposition since he's first experienced great times with Milena, but all of a sudden it ends vigorously since Milena cheated on him, which made him decide to join the front line. The bird symbolizes the bridge between the material and spiritual life. This eventually happened as Douglas died during the war. Our research question is, what future does Keith Douglas envision for his girlfriend and himself? We can conclude this poem by saying that there is no future for Douglas and Milena, as Douglas died during the war.